Welcome back, everybody, to another episode number 49 of X's in the U. Again, I'm ex-president of Sons of Ben, Matt Gandazzik. I'm joined by ex-head capo Adam Booth and ex-player and forever legend, the one and only Mr. Sebastian Latou. Guys, pretty good week that we get to recap, It's clinching the playoffs, first in the East, good wins. How's everyone doing? Seba, how are you doing this week?
Doing great, school started, everything is going well, beautiful weather, and like you say, a great win in Cincinnati. So it's always nice when you have a weekend off to, still thinking about the last game.
And Adam, how's your week shaping up?
It is going great, but I'm right now enthralled by Sebastian's training top that has SLT on it. Like I love the fact that I get it, that's like the initials of it, but it's interesting to see it spelled out like that, but it's good. I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, did you always have that, Seba?
No, just this year, make it special. So, people told me St. Louis. I'm like, no, it's my initial, but that's okay.
That's what I was wondering if we had news that you were going to move out to St. Louis. So I'm glad that's not the case.
Salt Lake City.
Oh, Salt Lake. There you go. Hey, at least it's not the Charlotte airport symbol. That would be worse. Anyhow, hey, so guys, let's talk about it. Union go to Cincinnati, and they get a 1-0 victory. Rick gets a clean sheet. I mean, what can you say? Seba, you were out there. You were covering that game, correct? What do you want
Yeah,
to
I was
what do you
there.
want
Yeah.
to what do you want to tell us about this beautiful game in Cincinnati that I got, I think, three-quarters of it on the airplane, and then the Wi-Fi went out on me.
I mean, it was a good game, I have to say. Like, it just kind of going crazy, especially after the red card of Macania. But before that, I think the team was really in control. Didn't give a lot to Cincy, able, to score. And yeah, I think like the word would come to my mind when I remember that game is especially like the last 30 minutes of the red card. It's resilience. Like how the team were working so hard with each other. To keep the result. Blocking Cincinnati like wave after wave, and keep attacking too. They were not just defending; they were trying to get the second goal as well. So yeah, it was fun, and it really like showed like the spirit of the team after the game.
Adam, let's get your thoughts on this one before we get into deep into the Macania Jalen Carter vibes.
I mean, look, so it was a fabulous kind of contest where, everything was kind of stacked up against you. It could have been very easy in this moment for this team to drop points in this game to, find themselves up against the wall because I'm not one for the law of averages, but it was about time for Cincinnati to put a good performance at home together. It had been a while since they had done that. So the part of me who is an irrational sports fan from Philadelphia always believes, oh, they're due for a 6-0 game at home. They haven't had one in 7 months. But, shout out to this team. And look, I think, we can get into this a little bit later. I just want to really focus on the game at the moment. But if you kind of microcosm how this team has played in 2026 or 2025 against the expectations it started up against, it's insane. It's literally insane to me to think about how well this team has been playing against top opponents all season long. And look, I don't know how much longer we're going to have Andrew Rick on this roster because someone's going to call. Someone's got to be buzzing the phones about his availability because the last two performances I've seen him put together, it speaks of a man who is ready for the challenge of being a starting keeper in this league. It's just really, really encouraging, and it's just been very, very exciting to watch him play and to watch him get not just, rudimentary training ground saves, but really quality, wow, I did not think he was going to be able to get to that kind of saves. The back line has been holding steady, and I think a lot of people were worried. No Jack Elliott, coming in from last season, what the center back pairings were going to be. What if having Westfield out there as a young man, how that was going to be. Just across the board, that was a performance in Cincinnati that said this team wants to win a championship. To go down to 10 men, to hold on still. And to see the emotion they had at the end, like those guys came together and the way that they were celebrating that victory and by proxy clinching a playoff spot, you know, that was a team that was very, very excited. And you want to see that from a team that's in a position to win multiple pieces of silverware.
Well, I mean, let's just say this. Maybe Rick is walking into that Nick Foles era of Philadelphia legend. And, big something Rick could go along with big something Nick. So we can see that. But another clean sheet, is that his? I know it's his second, third this year of this MLS. Huge saves. I noted, I think it's the 15th, 35th, and 57th minute. Like I said, in the 70th something, I lost connection. But huge saves, stepping up. He's what, 18, 19 years old. I mean, it is amazing. And like Seba said, this team is resilient and they play as a team. But I do want to ask Seba, Makanya getting sent off, what's that going to do for these next couple games? I mean, if there's any position that we lack depth, it's, goalie, we need Rick to stay healthy and stay in the games, and the center backs. What are your
Yeah,
thoughts on Makanya exiting?
I mean, like again, it's like a silly red card. It's a young mistake again. He need to get his I think energy, and he wants to win the ball back because he just lost it. On this, and he doesn't need to win it. He just put too much pressure, and of course, the referee knowing that it's still a young player, easy to give a second yellow card and a red card. But yeah, like it's something that I think the first year we're going to be like, okay, but I think next year is going to be a big step for him to handle his emotion, especially when he do some little mistake, which he will, but he doesn't need, sometimes to go in a challenge like he did. But hopefully it's not going to be too much of a, thing for the team. We're going to be now, I think in Vancouver with, I think probably Ariel going back center back. Now he's, with the national team right now, but I don't think, he didn't play the first game. So let's see if he plays tonight. But, we'll see probably like, yeah, Glesnes and him, center back, Westfield on the right and Kaya on the left is what I'm thinking. But we already saw it, before he played the position. It's not like it's the first time. So I'm not too worried about that. But yeah, Macania, I think I have a great season. But when you have like a, little red card like that is something you want to erase. But yeah, again, not worried about it. Vancouver, different game, turf, long trip. We have 2 weeks to prepare it. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it, but definitely amazing for the team to get the 3 points in Cincinnati because now they can go in Vancouver with a good caution with, the difference between them and the second place, Cincinnati.
Yeah, and we'll touch on Vancouver and any kind of impact that'll have. But like we said, we are the only team that clinched a playoff spot so far in the Eastern Division. In the Western, Minnesota and San Diego have clinched. Adam, if today the playoffs happened in the best of three, we would get the wild card winner from New York City or Chicago, kind of like that. And I'm loving right now, Cincinnati and Columbus would battle, Charlotte and Miami would battle, and Nashville and Orlando would battle. I mean, I'm loving the seeding. It's like stop the season. Let's get to the playoffs because I'm loving it now. But again, it's a little too early. But just wanted to mention playoffs. They're coming up. And I guess we didn't get to talk about it last week because we had some scheduling. But Leagues Cup, Adam. Seattle wins the Leagues Cup, and Suarez shows what a good humanitarian and sportsman he is. Any thoughts on Suarez and his 7-game Leagues Cup suspension?
You know what the funniest thing about this is? What did you expect exactly was going to happen? Like, my thing about this is with Suarez is fool me once, fool me twice, fool me 3 times, fool me a fourth time. I'm not surprised that when things break down, this growness of man just breaks into childlike antics. And it's been his MO his entire career. It's some of these habits are hard to break, apparently. And I'm happy that the punishment to him was severe. I'm happy that all these entities have come down upon him. And look, this Miami thing was getting out of control to begin with. And the idea that they were going to let Suarez get away with that after all of this Something had to be done. And look, it's just very disappointing because he's such a good player. He's so talented, but you don't remember the talent. It's like Dennis Rodman, you don't remember his rebounding as much as you remember him in a wedding dress with Carmen Electra. And that's just the disappointing aspect of it. But look, I'm happy that if any team had to win in that scenario, it's Seattle. Deep down, there's a glutton in me that wants to make sure that Miami wins nothing during this time period. Like I want these teams to believe that they have wonder teams basically buying, guys of yesteryear. I want them to be humbled. I want the rest of this league to prove it's not that sweet. That Christian Roldan is ready to take on anyone you've got on my Inter Miami and win the game. I want that for Major League Soccer because it's a legitimization of us as an entity. We can't let just guys who dominated Barcelona when I was 16 years old now come into MLS and dominate when I'm 36. It just, no, it has to be a different kind of a lifestyle and a different kind of thing. If we're growing as a league. So across the board, I'm happy Miami has suffered defeat. I'm happy Suarez has gotten suspended. All of these things are cosmically justifiable in my mind.
And Seba, I mean, you got to have some thoughts on Seattle winning the League's Cup.
Yeah, I'm happy for them. I like Seattle. I play there, but I think it's good for showing that Miami, even if they're a superstar, they're not a team, and when something goes wrong, you see how they react. They are not happy about we got our ass kicked. So yeah, it's great for Seattle, and you can see like Seattle has been one of the biggest team in this league in the past 10 years, so or even more since they joined. They've always been there. So yeah, congrats to them. Congrats to Schmetzer, the coach who get another title for them. So yeah, one of the team I think will need to look as well for the Western Conference because I think they probably be there in the playoff.
Yeah, true. The only thing about Suarez, I'll just say it. I thought this for a long time, and when I saw him live in Miami and could watch him up close, he's an asshat, plain and simple. Great talent, but a jagaloon. Speaking of getting our asses kicked, as Seba segued into this, Adam, Seba, the U.S. men's national team. Is it time to panic? Is it time to get the lifeboats out? Do we just start picking other countries to root for in the World Cup? What is going on with this U.S. men's team? Adam, I'm going to let you take this first and then see if Seba can talk you down, or maybe he's joining us in the lifeboats. We're going to see.
Look, I think at this point, it's not even irrational rants or anything I'm going on. You see the product. It's just not good enough, and it's just very disappointing. It's just very disappointing. We are less than 365 days from this tournament. I know so because there's a giant countdown clock 2 blocks away from me at City Hall saying so. This team is not ready. Or if this is it, this team is not going to do well. They might get out of the group stage. I'm not going to say that they won't. I won't say that they can't catch lightning in a bottle. I'm not saying they're not talented enough. They have a talented enough team to make it past the knockout stage, maybe even make a quarterfinal if they worked hard enough. They're not gonna because you see the product out there right now. I don't know if Poncho's the right manager at this point. That could be another conversation for another day. We go through managers more so than Chelsea does, so I'm not sure if we're really, you know, maybe some stability is in order, but there's a reason why Pulisic was playing and he's not captain anymore. All of this is just a microcosm of a team that is in dysfunction and is relying on a group that was supposed to gel, was supposed to come together, was supposed to be a golden age of US soccer, and I hate that term so much because how many golden ages actually win? I was hearing about Belgium's golden age forever and they won virtually nothing. I'm hearing about the Dutch golden age and they won virtually nothing. What is this moment in US soccer? This is going to be the greatest disappointment in the history of US soccer. And not because of what's going to happen in the tournament, it was what could have happened in this tournament coming up.
Seba, Can you talk any of us off the ledge, or are you willing to say it's time to start rooting for France or another team?
I'm gonna try my best. I think my biggest issue with the team of the US, it's nobody knows, let's say, what will be the core or the player of the national team when the World Cup is going to happen. Which means, like I feel like it's still you have such a pool of, let's say, 40, 50 players that could make it, you know? And we don't know yet, like, and for the player as well, it's kind of like, okay, am I going to make it? Am I not? They are trying, to play for different teams so they can get more times and, make catch the eyes of, Pochettino. But I feel it's just, about who are going to be the player because I feel like as soon as and it'd be a kind of a relief and less pressure as well, like for all the players. When you know you are okay, I'm in a squad. I think you can hopefully see a better team spirit from the US, like a better feel like okay, we are together in this. Let's work hard for each other because I didn't really see a lot of like hardworking, like it's a win or die situation for them to make the team. It's kind of like still, all right, we are playing on the same type of rhythm, and I didn't see like the some player being like, all right, I need to do good. If I don't, I know I'm out. And they got their ass kicked by Korea, so which is a good team. Don't get me wrong, but it was a little bit hard to watch sometimes, like the way they were playing. But I hope that maybe when the 30 player or what is it, 20 or 26 or 25 player for the World Cup 23, maybe 23. 23 players who got called up. Yes, they will become together as a team and they can feel hopefully the support they will get from everybody. But right now, everybody else is just killing them, like all players, media. It's a bit sad too. Like, don't be too hard, like those games doesn't matter right now. It's just friendlies. But I understand. I understand where I come from. But I still believe that something positive could happen, in a couple of months when the World Cup starts.
We are going to see. The only positive I saw came out of Wayne, Pennsylvania, and one Matt Freeze. Other than that, it wasn't good. And we've got Japan tonight. I don't know if we're going to air before this, but we're going to know by the time you're listening to this how we did against Japan, and that could take the taste out of our mouth. But it's going to be a very long 330 some odd days before we know what's going on.
Look, you have to eventually beat someone better than Panama. And you can't even do that at the moment. Like that's where I'm at, It's always like, oh, well, Switzerland's a good team, South Korea is a good team, Japan's a good team. You're supposed to be a good team. Like you are not supposed to be searching up, looking at everyone. You yourselves are supposed to be a good team too, and you can't keep losing on home soil to all of these teams in things that are supposed to be World Cup qualifiers. The only reason why they're not is because you happen to be hosting. And I mean, look, what you're saying is completely correct, Seba. Diego Luna is probably the only other person I know out there who's actually like dying out there for the United States badge. Outside of that, complacency across the board. And as a person who has an Italian wife who's begging her federation to somehow find a way to get into the World Cup, it is hilarious to see the contrast of urgency we have. But anyway, I digress.
I don't know. Maybe we should just start a rumor that Punch is gone and a new coach. I don't know if you can see that. Maybe we get the Jim Curtin to save the U.S. American hero. Maybe we start that rumor.
Jim to the U.S. I will 100% support. At this point, why not? What do we have to lose?
He's going to say, might as well gamble on it.
What do we have to lose?
All right, let's speak about something that's way more positive. We're talking about a place that is beautiful, majestic. We're talking about Vancouver. And we're talking about your union traveling to Vancouver to play on some of the crappiest turf I've ever seen in my life. I mean, you got a beautiful location and they got that turf in that stadium. But we're taking on Vancouver, who I think has had like 2 to 3 week break before hosting us. So they're going to be well rested. They're 5 points back of the Union. Well, maybe 6 points now. But they're behind San Diego. So this is really important to them to get a better seeding into the Western Conference playoffs. So Now, Seba, you're not doing this game. Are you traveling all the way out there? Nope.
Nope.
Well, I'm going to rely on you to give us a little scouting report on Vancouver and what the Union have to do to get some points out of this.
I feel like it'd be a kind of the same type of game in Cincinnati. It's games that you need to grind, you need to still play well, play some offense, and hopefully we can, get a positive result. I think the win in Cincinnati give a little bit more, what we say, like, not as much pressure, to the team to get a win. I think a tie is still a good result, but a win is still possible. And yeah, I think having 2 weeks off for the team, it was great after Cincinnati. Now they can really focus on Vancouver. And what I say about we don't really need a win as well is because behind us, Cincinnati is playing at home against Nashville, which is a two team behind us in the Eastern Conference. So hopefully they can tie as well, and we'll be at the same spot than we were before we started the game. So I think we can win. I think the fact that Macania is not here is going to be maybe a little issue to make some sub defensively, but we just signed a player who got 4 goals there for San Diego. So hopefully he can refine the magic that he got when he played in Vancouver and get another 4. It'd be amazing. How it will be like the headline: one player get 8 goals at one stadium. It'd be great.
That would be great. They should rename the stadium after him. Does the U.S. Open Cup being a couple days behind that, is that going to affect anything for the lineup, do you think? Do you think Bradley's going to do something to make sure that we're showing our best at both this game and the U.S. Open Cup?
Maybe he could. I think it will just depend about how the game goes, for, after maybe one half or something. If he makes early substitution, maybe start a different lineup as well, able to try to get, the result they want to get. But yeah, for sure, we are thinking as well for Open Cup Tuesday. It's going to be a quick turnaround. But the same for Nashville, Nashville is going to play probably one of their best team because they still have a chance to get close to be second place, because a win in Cincinnati for them really brings them back as well. So I think we're on the same boat in Cincinnati. Let's see what they decide to do. But for the team, they're going to go straight from Vancouver to Nashville, so less travel. They can prepare the game as well there. So I think, again, the mentality I feel of Bradley Carnell and the staff, it's one game at a time. They're going to take this Vancouver game, see what they can do, and then turn the page to the Open Cup and refresh, talk to the staff, talk to everybody about seeing who is feeling good, who is not, because after that we have another important game at home. So yeah, let's see how we do Vancouver, try to get a result there and then move to Nashville. But I feel we probably will get maybe some mix between the starting 11. But again, we had 2 weeks off. So I know, for example, that I think Ty, is coming back from his duty with Israel, and I think he's flying back, I think coming back maybe on Wednesday evening. So right away, we'll fly back then the next day to Vancouver. A lot of flying for him. How is he going to feel, physically? Maybe we might see Ty, starting on the bench. Have Michael Ua, with Damiani. Who knows? I feel like we could have some interchange. We have some people on the bench we can, rotate, and I think it's great to have for Bradley Carnell.
All right, Adam, pretty much same question. I want you to go Vancouver and then dip a little bit in the U.S. Open Cup, because we know Seba set a rule, one game at a time. So we're going to go Vancouver.
It's true too, because like Vancouver at this point is 9 points back with 2 games in hand. So you're looking at a situation for the supporter shield. The race is getting a little bit thinner, and you could almost, for the most part, eliminate Vancouver from the race entirely if you get 3 points up there with this. And these are why these games is interesting. Every team that's in the competition still has something to play for in MLS as well. So when you look at the Vancouver game, I think you have to be weary of substitutions, especially now in our post-COVID era that we have 5 subs. You should be weary of the idea that you can rotate these guys out. I expect some Alejandro Bedoya play. I expect some depth, maybe some Jesus Bueno more than usual, because I do believe this team is capable of winning with them, and that's the real core of this. I do believe that the Union's depth possibly has never been better, and that if you did rotate basically half the squad, I still think you can go up into Vancouver and get a result. A Vancouver team that has more or less been playing a very interesting amount of games recently, a little high, a little low, but not necessarily the juggernaut that came out to swinging at the beginning of the season. Um, you know how I feel about the Open Cup. You know, if I'm manager, I'm probably rotating most of these guys just to make sure travel to Nashville is everything and everyone's ready to get this team the best chance of winning silverware. But I also understand the gravity of the moment in Vancouver and also maintaining momentum, going into the Open Cup semifinal. I don't like the idea of, quote, throwing a game, in hopes that we'll be rested for another road game. So, look, all I'll be is just a nervous observer of all of the above. But, I think what Seba says is 100% accurate. You're capable of winning both of these games back to back, and to start one at a time, you're more than capable of beating Vancouver at this point. I think that the result in Cincinnati should have said to you that there's no team in MLS that is really scary to you. You should not be afraid of anybody. You should be capable of going into any club right now, any venue, and think that you can get 3 points from it. And I think you truly are a couple of matches, the Nashville previous match and the Toronto match, away from saying to yourself, we're 7 points clear of everyone in MLS right now. And we should be very confident in our abilities to keep this moving and keep it going. Like, yes, the numbers are what the numbers are, but in your mind, you should know we are them. We are that team, and we should be able to go anywhere and compete.
And to touch on that, I'm just going to look at the standings right now from MLS, Major League Soccer, soccer.com. And you tell me in the beginning of the year if you thought this was the top four teams in the Eastern Conference. Number one, Philadelphia. Number two, Cincinnati, sure. Number three, Charlotte. Number four, Nashville. That's the top four teams in the Eastern Conference. Now, you really want to blow your mind. The top four in the Western Conference: San Diego, Minnesota, Vancouver, and Seattle. Seattle's the only team I would have thought that was going to be a top four team in the West, legitimately. So this is a season that anything can happen in the MLS. And why can't we think Shield, Open Cup, MLS Cup? Why can't we think that? That's kind of the mentality. So yeah, let's go in to Vancouver, all guns blazing, get the double revenge in Nashville that we've been hoping for. And then here's the schedule. September 20th at home, New England. You go down to DC the 27th. New York City comes here the 4th, and then we finish with Charlotte, which by that point, Charlotte might need that game more than us. But that's what the season's wrapping up. And I mean, if you're a Union fan, buckle up, Buttercup. It's going to be a roller coaster ride.
And to be the worst for Seba, I'll think about if you make it to the final. And then you think about that schedule that's probably going to be around the Open Cup final. You rest everybody. What are you doing? Like against DC? I would play the entirety of U2 against DC and still expect 3 points because they are just absolute a garbage fire down there. I don't know. Everyone needs to get fired in the nation's capital. I have no idea what's going on down there, but that is a dumpster fire.
So you're yelling, drain the swamp? You're trying to
drain the whole Potomac. They need to figure out irrigation all over again. That is supposed to be the shining beacon of MLS, the four-time champion of our league, and they are the Chicago Bulls in the mid-2000s.
Seba, any final thoughts on Vancouver, Open Cup, end of the season, the playoffs coming? I mean, we've got some rapid fire, exciting MLS soccer coming up for the Union, and it could be a historic year.
Yeah. It's just exciting, guys. I mean, every time I'm looking forward about, okay, when is the next game? Like you want to know because we have a big chance, like you said, to be a part of all of them. Can we win one? I hope so. Can we win two? Probably two. So, yeah, it's just exciting to be still in it. We were not in it last year at all, and it was a long time. But now, to have like all of that this year, it's great. So, hopefully, we keep going. And like the ways the team are playing in Cincinnati, I don't have any doubt about. They're going to stick together no matter what, even if there's some bad result or something happening not their way. They will stick together to try to get something done this season.
like I said, this is a golden time for Philadelphia sports fans, especially if you're a Union fan. You've got the Phillies first place. The Eagles just started back up. The Union are on fire. And then the Sixers and the Flyers will ruin it for us. But I mean, this is like the best time to be watching sports in Philadelphia. So I hope everybody just takes a step back and just enjoys it. So